Hi again. If you've seen my last video, you'll have seen that I've just got back from Thailand. That was my fifth time in Thailand, so I'm pretty well versed with that country. I've travelled around it extensively, and I thought it would be good to share with you guys the best tips for what to know before you get there. This is going to be based around the fact that you're probably going to be doing it on the cheap. I mean, a lot of students go to Thailand and they're doing it as frugally as they can. I'm all about frugal living. If you watch this channel, you'll know about that. If that's an interest to you, then I recommend that you subscribe. So we're going to get into it, starting with number one, how to cut out the middleman with accommodation. So when you get to Thailand, you are going to be wanting a place to stay, and most people will go online and book something. But you can actually get cheaper places if you just turn up. A lot of these places aren't listed online. I don't know why. Probably, I'm guessing, because they're cutting out they want to cut out the tax man. They don't want to pay tax. Apparently, Thailand is quite heavily taxed. So I'm guessing the people who run these guest houses, they want it to be done in cash so they can kind of do it off the books. So those places are usually not listed. And if you turn up, then they're more so in the tourist hotspots. So you got to go to like the touristy areas to find them. You're not going to find them in the more rural places and stuff. But if you go to the touristy areas, places like Koh San Road in Bangkok and the more popular islands amongst the tourists, you're going to find lots of places there where they have a guest house and they're willing to take you and let you stay the night for a very cheap cost, because they don't have to pay all of the fees what you pay online. I've stayed in one place in Krabi that cost me $1 for the night, and I've stayed in most of the places that I've stayed when I've done this has been around $6 to $8 per night. So it's super cheap. I mean, obviously, if you want to have something that's more safe, because if you don't like the room or you aren't happy for whatever reason, you've got no comeback really. With the apps and things like Airbnb and Booking.com, you've got a middleman that can help you fix an issue if it comes up. If you just turn up and pay for somewhere in cash, you're not going to have that option. So just bear that in mind. Number two, eat in the malls. So this is where all of the locals go to eat. And the reason that I say that you should eat in the mall rather than eating the street food, not that the street food's bad, the street food tastes great and a lot of locals eat the street food as well. The problem with the street food is that a lot of the veg and stuff isn't washed in water that is healthy for you. They use the tap water, which is not good to drink, and that can give you an upset stomach sometimes. Also, if you go to the mall, you'll find an area in the mall where they do the really cheap food that's similar to the street food, but it's much more hygienic. Everything is much cleaner, and it's just as cheap. It tastes amazing and it's just as cheap. So make sure that when you go there, if you want to keep your costs down, go to the mall instead of the street food. Both are good, but nobody ever told me to go to the mall until my second last visit. Before that, I was always eating from the street food, and I think I got sick every time. Last two times I didn't get sick. Well, I don't think I got sick the time before, but I definitely didn't get sick last time. And that was because I stuck to the mall food. And like I said, it's just as cheap and it tastes amazing. Number three, stick to branded alcohol. This is something that I learned the hard way. I don't want you to have to learn the hard way too. If you drink the Thai spirits that you don't recognize the name of them, you're probably going to feel terrible the next day. This isn't just your average hangover. You're going to feel really horrible. You might even get a bit sick as well, like a bit ill from it. So my advice is stick to the brands, Smirnoff, Jägermeister, whatever it is, stick to the brands that you know and you're familiar with. You're going to have to pay a little bit more, but trust me, it's absolutely worth it, because if you drink that local homemade stuff, not only are you risking your health regarding feeling sick, but you could even be risking your vision, your sight. You might be familiar with what's been happening in Laos with the people that have been drinking spirits there. A lot of people have actually died. Don't run the risk of that. Stick to the brands that you know, even if it costs you a little bit more. 4, don't do drugs. Right, as well as the alcohol, you might be wanting to go to like the full moon parties and stuff, and you might be thinking, yeah, why not just do a bit of ecstasy while I'm there? I'll tell you a little story about what happened to a guy that I met when I was in Thailand. He was only 19 at the time, and he bought two ecstasy tablets to take at the full moon party. Now, not long after that, I don't know whether this was like orchestrated or what, but he got stopped, randomly stopped and searched, and he could have ended up in a Thai prison if his parents hadn't sent him $5,000 to get his way out of it. You don't want to do that. The Thai authorities are very strict about drugs. It's just not worth it. Don't do it. Just stick to the booze. Number five, go in the dry season. Right. So in Thailand, you've technically got three seasons, but most people think there's two. There's the dry and the wet. There's also like another one in between. But I've been in both of the men two seasons, and I can tell you, unless you like getting soaked about every hour from the downpours that happen, uh, just make sure you to go in the dry season, because it doesn't really matter that you're getting wet. I mean, we're all waterproof, right? But it's just a bit annoying, if you've got ready to go out and then all of a sudden you just get drenched. But on the other side, some people might find that fun. It's all part of the adventure. But for me now, I would never go in the wet season. I don't think. I would always stick to the dry season. Plus, the fact that the dry season is in the US in the European winter time, it gives you the perfect excuse to get away from the cold and be somewhere that's nice and warm. Number six, don't be afraid to haggle. So when you go places like Chatuchak Market in Bangkok, or pretty much anywhere where you're buying like souvenirs, items that you need, taxis is another one. Don't be afraid to haggle the price. The Thai people kind of expect you to do this, especially with the taxis, because a lot of the time they'll overcharge you because they can tell that you're a tourist, and they'll try and take advantage of that and give you an extortionate rate. You can get the rate down by negotiating. Don't just take the first price that they say. You can keep your costs down a lot by doing this. I've seen so many people just not even think about it, and they just go and pay the price because that's what they do in their own country. But in Thailand, you can haggle, and it's definitely worth it. All right, so what are we on? Six, number seven. Okay, the next one is don't overstay your visa. Now, I made this mistake one time. This was, I think it was my second time in Thailand. I lost track of the amount of days that I was there, and I had to pay when I overstayed. Luckily, that's all there was to it. It wasn't like anything crazy. I think it worked out at about £13, about $15 per day that I overstayed. So it wasn't a ridiculous amount. I don't know if the rules have changed there now. They might be more strict about it, but most nationalities, get about 30 days visa entry into the country. So don't overstay unless you don't mind actually paying the price for doing that. It's very easy. If you want to stay longer, it's very easy. All you have to do is do a border run. I've done this a couple of times. You just basically go to the border of Thailand. I went to Malaysia. You don't even have to go like into the country properly. You just basically step over the borderline. They stamp it, get back on the train, and go back into the Thailand, wherever you're going, wherever you're heading to, and that's it. Then you get another 30 days. So it's really simple. Next one, number eight. Be aware that you're probably not going to wear a helmet on a motorbike. So most motorbike taxis aren't going to give you a helmet to wear because they don't have them with them. Some do. You can get them, but a better option, if you're going to be traveling around a bit on an island, the better option is probably to hire your own motorbike. So that's about 200 baht for the day, which is about £5 or about $6.50. So if you do that, you're going to get a helmet with it. You're more in control. But at the end of the day, you still can't control other riders and drivers. People might have had a drink. They might crash into you. It's very, very important to wear a helmet. I know I've been there a couple of times, and you've probably seen videos of me not wearing a helmet. That is absolute stupidity, and I fully accept that I was stupid for doing that. Unfortunately, I didn't really have much of a choice because, like I said, you couldn't get a helmet, and the last place I was at there was lots of stray dogs, and I didn't want a chance walking past them, so I had no option. But for you, don't make the same mistakes. Make sure that you get a helmet wherever you can, and don't risk it. Number nine, always be respectful when going in temples. Now, if you go in the temple, I mean, it's just respectful to take your shoes off anywhere, wherever you go, isn't it? So take your shoes off when you go into a temple. Don't go in there half dressed. Make sure that you're covered up. The mistake I made, actually, not the last time, but the time before, was I'd been spending a bit of time on the islands. And when you're on the islands, it's kind of like everybody's sort of walking around shirtless. All the guys have got no top on most of the time because it's nice and warm, it's hot. You want to get a bit of a suntan. When you get back to Bangkok or any city, make sure you start putting your shirt on. I forgot to do this. I got there and I was just so used to walking about shirtless that I was just carried on, and a couple of people kind of like, well, I seen a few people staring and looking at me, and then another one of them that was looking, he sort of started telling me, put something on, put something on. Number 10, make sure you take the right charger. So I've made this mistake multiple times arriving in Thailand, forgetting to take the right adapter and having to buy one. Not a big deal, they're very cheap. You can pick them up from the 7-Eleven for about 200 to 300 baht, which, like I said, is about $6 or $7. It's not a lot, but if you want to keep your costs down as much as possible, remember to take your own charger if you already have one. I've been to Thailand multiple times and I still forgot to take it each time. So now I've got like five five tie adapters for charging my phone. Don't make that mistake. Just take your own, right? Number 11, do not disrespect the royal family. Right, so the Thai people love their royal family, and the last thing that you want to do while in a foreign country is do anything that disrespects the royal family. I remember hearing about a guy that was drunk and he drew like a mustache or something on a picture of the king, and he ended up getting nearly 44 years in prison for it. He got brought out of there and brought back to, I don't know if it was the UK or the US, but he did do some prison time in Thailand because of this, and it's just a stupid thing to do, really. And the penalty is really severe, so don't do anything stupid like that. You'll see pictures of the royal family everywhere, and the Thai people love the royal family, so don't do some idiotic, drunken prank that could get you put behind bars. That would be the worst thing to happen when you're away in Thailand. Just be respectful of other people and their cultures. Number 12, take your own money. So if you want to avoid costs from the ATMs, every time you take money out from an ATM, it costs you 220 baht. So like I said, it's about $6, £5. And if you are doing that like every few days, that's going to soon add up. It's going to end up costing you a lot. So either get there and take it out in one lump sum, or just like every couple of weeks or whatever. So it's not so much of a big accumulation of costs, or just take the money with you, what you are going to need. There is another method. I never did this, but I heard that you can go there, open a bank account, and then they'll give you a card that you can then use that doesn't charge you at all. I've never done that, so I can't comment on whether that actually works or whether it's as simple as it sounds. But my advice is just use the ATMs as little as possible if you can. And the last one, number 13, is use the local buses. So when you're in Thailand and you want to travel somewhere, if you go to a tour operator, they are going to charge you nearly double what you would pay if you just went to the bus station and bought the ticket to go to the other destination yourself. I've made this mistake a few times. It was only with not the last trip to Thailand, but the one before, that I realised that, wait a minute, if I actually go to the bus station and buy my own ticket, it's way, way less. So don't be lazy because a lot of this comes down to laziness. You just think, oh, I'll just get it from there. They're right next door or just down the street, so I'll book it through them. Don't do that. Just make the effort. A lot of the times you don't have to travel far to get to the actual bus station, and then there'll be lots of different desks there where you can buy the ticket. And it's all very catered for travellers, not just for the tourists, but it's also for the local people too. But everyone will be able to speak English. It won't be difficult. Don't be put off thinking, oh, it's going to be too complicated. It won't be. It's very simple, and like I said, it'll save you quite a bit of money if you're going to be doing a lot of travelling. That is the end. Hope you got something from this. Tomorrow I'm going to do another video where I'm going to talk about how you can actually travel around Thailand for less than $500 a month. Make sure you don't miss it. Ciao.